The US election year is going to be even more torrid, of course, after Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records last Friday. He's lashed out at everyone, from the judge to the Biden administration.
Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent.
And, of course, Trump says, and he's absolutely right, I guess, that the real test is going to come later this year.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Yeah, it's the American voters who are going to have the final say on all of this. I took it up with the Australian's Washington correspondent, Adam Crichton.
Yeah, look, certainly that's right. But it's looking like, though, that he will go into that election as a felon. So, of course, he was convicted last week and he's going to appeal, certainly going to appeal. But most experts say that the length of the appeal process is very long, and it's almost certain that it won't be concluded by November.
Sentencing happens next month, though. What chances are there, do you think, that he could actually get a jail sentence?
Well, look, no one really knows. Ultimately, it's up to the judge, to the Judge Juan Merchan. It's his decision. There is going to be a recommendation for a sentence, which is conducted by New York State Probation Department. So they actually go and interview Donald Trump in advance of the 11th of July sentencing. But the judge doesn't have to obey that recommendation. And I mean, he could give anything from a probationary sentence, which is basically 0 time in prison, to 4 years for each count, which is something like 136 years. Look, I mean, he's a first-time offender. I mean, it's white collar. It's kind of a victimless crime, so to speak. So, you know, it's unlikely, I would think, that he'd be sentenced to any time in jail, but it certainly can't be ruled out. And of course, after all, this is a judge that Trump abused every single day. So I mean, if the judge himself, had any spite, he might put him in prison for a few days at least.
There are those who want to say this is a political blow to Donald Trump, that it's a great boost to Joe Biden's re-election chances. But isn't there an argument to say this is wind beneath the wings of Donald Trump? Doesn't this just fuel his narrative that he's the anti-establishment figure and the establishment's out to get him? Yeah, well, look,
I think it's probably still a bit too soon to know what the net effect's going to be. Certainly amongst the base, amongst the diehard Trump supporters, they have poured money into the campaign, $55 million in just 24 hours, which is an enormous sum, and 30% of that money was completely new donations. In fact, at least that's what the Trump team says. So for the base, yes, look, it's certainly helped him, but there are polls that have come out since Thursday that suggest about 20%, 15% of independent voters say that they are less likely to vote for Trump now. And the metric that I look at the most is the average of the 8 political betting markets, which, of course, give a suggested probability of who's going to win in November. And they did fall slightly for Trump, 51% a chance of winning down to 48% or 47%. That was immediately the day after the verdict. So I think most people out there who are willing to put their money on the line and think about these things, they think that it's hurt. That it's hurt Trump. And I actually share that view. I don't think this is great for the former president.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Of course, in the political world, part of the equation is how the Democrats react to this. That's very important. What tone they strike reacting to this as to how it's going to play out politically. And to my mind, it's focused again on the president and whether he's up to the job, because have a look at this as one of his reactions to what's happened to Donald Trump.
Can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
Look, there's the leader of the free world giving an awkward smile but having nothing to say about the conviction of Donald Trump. And before I get your thoughts, Adam, I'll show you another chance where the president got to respond. He had a bit more to say this time.
Conviction helps Trump in the election. Are you worried that this could happen to you someday? Somebody comes up with some charges and tries to bring you into court after your term?
Not at all. I didn't do anything wrong. The system still works.
And When Trump says you're just trying to bruise him, what do you say? Politically. He thinks you're pulling the strings behind the scenes, doing all this to help yourself.
I didn't know it's that powerful.
Yeah, the leader of the free world, Adam, the most powerful man in the world, saying he didn't know he was that powerful.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's very embarrassing. I mean, of course, the Democrats want to make the election a referendum now on whether or not you want a felon in the White House. That's going to be their campaign for sure, because their own track record is so poor. You know, whether it's the border or inflation, they don't want Americans thinking back to what life was like in 2018 and 2019, because objectively it was so much better. And so they need to talk about something else. And so for them, this is a gift. And look, it might just work. It's going to be very close.
It's extraordinary times, Adam, extraordinary busy and fascinating times for you to be in the US. Thanks so much for sharing your insights with us.
Thanks, Chris.